Welcome back everyone, I'm Jeffrey Chen, bringing you your daily second stimulus check and stimulus package and latest information for Thursday, October 22nd. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below and leave a like and a comment. It's greatly appreciated and helps get this video to more viewers like yourself. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing with your friends and family, because I'm sure they would like to have the most updated information on stimulus check and stimulus package. Let's get back to the video. Regarding the election, both Iran and Russia have tried to interfere in the presidential election, according to Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe. He says Iran is behind a recent email campaign made to look like it came from the far-right Proud Boys group, spreading intimidation and disinformation through links and messages. Ratcliffe said these actions are designed to harm President Trump, but some Democrats doubt that. Meanwhile, former President Obama blasted Trump in a speech in Pennsylvania, calling the president out on his claim that he couldn't be handling the pandemic much better. Really? Not much? Nothing you can think of that could have helped some people keep their loved ones alive. And relishing in a report that Trump has a bank account in China. A reminder, the last debate between Trump and Joe Biden is tonight at 9 p.m. in Nashville, moderated by NBC's Kristen Welker. In coronavirus news, the U.S. reported more than 1,100 new COVID-19 deaths yesterday, the highest daily death toll in more than a month. With accelerating deaths and case numbers, yesterday's case total surpassed 62,000. Doctors now say the pandemic could be more devastating this fall and winter than it was when it first swept over the U.S. In Europe, Ireland just instituted the region's strictest lockdown, asking people to work at home and stay there except for necessary activities. In Brazil, a volunteer for the country's AstraZeneca vaccine trial has died. However, organizers said there was no reason to stop the trial, which indicates the death is not linked to the vaccine. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said Wednesday that he hoped for a deal on a new coronavirus stimulus bill this week. "I am optimistic," Meadows said on the Fox Business Network. "We do share one goal, and that is hopefully to get some kind of deal in the next 48 hours or so. I can tell you that the negotiations have entered a new phase, which is more on the technical side of trying to get the language right if we can agree upon the numbers," he said. "We're still apart, still a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field." House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, offered a similar rosy assessment on MSNBC a few hours later. She met with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin later in the day. "I think we have a prospect for an agreement," Pelosi said on MSNBC. "None of it is insurmountable if you want to make a decision. And as I say, and he says to me and I say to him, why would I even be talking to you if we didn't think that we could, and need to have a decision and agreement?" Her spokesman, Drew Hamill, reported more progress after the meeting with Mnuchin. The wild card remains Senate Republicans, who have refused to consider any legislation close to the $2.2 trillion measure passed by the House or the $1.8 trillion offered by the White House. Meadows met with GOP senators over lunch on Wednesday. "We don't have a Pelosi-Mnuchin deal yet," Meadows told reporters on Capitol Hill. "Once we get a deal there, hopefully we'll be able to discuss the merits with our Senate colleagues." The Senate on Wednesday failed to pass a scaled-down $500 billion bill that provided aid to small businesses, $300 a week in extra unemployment insurance payments, and the ability to deduct some charitable donations while taking the standard income tax deduction. It would have also increased taxpayer support for religious and other private schools and protected businesses and nonprofit institutions such as colleges from lawsuits if employees or customers get ill from the coronavirus. The measure did not include another round of stimulus checks nor any aid for state and local governments to help them pay the salaries of police officers, firefighters, healthcare workers, teachers and other public employees. McConnell blasted the Democrats on the Senate floor for demanding wheelbarrows of cash, out of any proportion to COVID needs, for state and city governments that Democrats have mismanaged for decades. Democrats have countered McConnell's argument by pointing to studies that show Republican-run states, such as his home state of Kentucky, get far more in federal dollars than their taxpayers contribute to Washington. For the White House, protections against lawsuits was a non-negotiable demand, and Meadows said Pelosi knows that. "She's known for 90 days that liability protection would be part of any deal," he said. As part of any discussion on liability, House Democrats have insisted that there be stringent occupational safety and health administration standards for businesses to follow to protect workers and customers. "They're sending essential workers to work," Pelosi said. "If they don't go, they can't get unemployment insurance. They could be in a dangerous situation," have no recourse if the strong OSHA standards are not kept. Meadows said that aid to state and local governments remain the biggest stumbling block. He said the actual loss in revenues due to the pandemic was $250 billion to $275 billion, while the Democrats wanted about twice that amount. The bipartisan National Governors Association had asked for $500 billion just for state governments. Part of the aid was needed to make reopening schools safe for teachers and students, Pelosi said. The safety of our schools and the well-being of our schools depends not only on allocation for COVID-19, but it also depends on how we support state and local government, where most of the money for education comes from, Pelosi said. So, that affects almost just about everything: health, transportation, and the rest that make our lives function. The Democratic bill also included another round of $1,200 stimulus payments, $600 a week in extra unemployment insurance payments, more money for the U.S. Postal Service to help handle an expected unprecedented amount of absentee ballots, a one-year suspension of the Republican tax law's $10,000 cap on deducting state and local taxes, and $75 billion for a national plan to combat the pandemic, including expanded testing and contact tracing.